I don't feel I owe people anything. If anything, I'm owed answers, and to have my children back to me.
The morning of May 2nd, 2025, began like an ordinary day for Malia Brooksmurray and her two young children. She says she heard 4-year-old Jack Sullivan and 6-year-old Lily Sullivan playing in their bedroom. She saw Lily that morning. She heard Jack. And then, at some point, everything changed. The children were gone, and the questions that followed have remained unanswered. More than a year later, the disappearance of Jack and Lily continues to leave their family and the wider community searching for answers. Their mother, Malia Brooksmurray, has now spoken publicly about what happened, why she stayed silent for so long, her dealings with investigators, and her belief that her children may still be alive. Brooksmurray makes it clear that she does not believe she owes the public an explanation for every decision she has made since her children disappeared. In her view, the people she owes something to are her children, and what she wants most is to have them back. She says she has spent this entire period waiting for answers and hoping for the day when Jack and Lily can return home. Before we continue, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you can get first-hand updates on this story and other important developments as they happen. Brooksmurray's decision to remain largely silent has been an important part of the story surrounding the children's disappearance. She says that silence was not because she did not care, nor because she had nothing to say. Instead, she says she followed advice from the RCMP because she did not want to do anything that could interfere with the investigation. According to Brooksmurray, investigators advised her not to speak publicly. She says she followed those instructions because, at the time, her main concern was protecting the case and helping police find her children. That decision meant that much of what the public knew about her perspective was limited. For a mother whose children had disappeared, the choice to remain quiet could not have been easy. Every day brought uncertainty, questions, and the possibility that information shared publicly could somehow affect the investigation. Brooksmurray says she chose to follow what investigators told her, even though that meant staying away from public discussion while people continued to search for Jack and Lily. She now says she has no regrets about that decision. From her perspective, she was doing what she believed was necessary to give investigators the best possible opportunity to find her children. The situation also changed Brooksmurray's life in ways that went beyond the disappearance itself. She says that after the children went missing, police advised her family privately to take her away from the area. She left the community shortly afterward and says she has never returned. That departure marked another major turning point. The home where the children had lived was now connected to an investigation that had attracted enormous attention. The surrounding area had become the focus of searches, police activity, and public concern. For Brooksmurray, leaving meant separating herself from the place where she had last seen and heard her children. She also describes the end of her relationship with the children's stepfather, Daniel Martell, around that same period. Brooksmurray declined to discuss the details of their relationship or the environment inside the home. Those are areas she has chosen not to make public. That decision is significant because it shows the limits of what Brooksmurray is prepared to discuss. She has answered questions about her children and her cooperation with police, but she has also made clear that some personal matters will remain private. At the center of everything, however, are Jack and Lily. Brooksmurray says she continues to believe she is a good mother and that she loves her children deeply. She says she would give anything to hold them again. Her words describe a parent living with the painful uncertainty of not knowing where her children are or what happened to them. That uncertainty has now lasted far longer than anyone could have expected when the initial 911 call was made. Brooksmurray says the children were present that morning. She remembers seeing Lily's face appear in the bedroom. She says she heard Jack as well. Those memories are particularly important because they represent some of the last known moments she had with them. Then came the silence. At 10:01 a.m., Brooksmurray called 911. The emergency call set off an immediate response. Police officers arrived at the property, and search crews began working through the surrounding area. The woods around the home became part of an extensive search effort as investigators tried to determine where the children could have gone. The speed and scale of that response reflected the seriousness of the situation. 2 young children had disappeared, and every minute mattered. For Brooksmurray, those first hours would have been filled with fear and uncertainty. She had no clear explanation for where her children had gone. Investigators were beginning to gather information, search the property and surrounding areas, and establish what might have happened. Search teams combed the woods and nearby areas as police worked to piece together the circumstances surrounding the disappearance. The investigation would continue long after the initial search, but the first response represented the beginning of a case that remains unresolved. The children's ages made the situation particularly urgent. Jack was 4 years old at the time, while Lily was 6. They were both very young, and their disappearance immediately raised questions about how they could have vanished without being found. Yet despite the searches and the investigative work that followed, Jack and Lily have not been located. The following day, Brooks Murray left the area. She says police had privately advised her family to take her away, and she followed that direction. She has not returned to the area since. Her departure also coincided with a major change in her personal life. Her relationship with Daniel Martel ended around that time. She has chosen not to discuss the circumstances surrounding that breakup, including what the environment inside the home was like before the children disappeared. That silence leaves important questions unanswered, but it is also important to distinguish between what is known and what remains unknown. Brooks Murray has publicly denied having anything to do with the disappearance. She says she did not harm or take her children. When asked directly whether she had anything to do with Jack and Lily disappearing, she answered no. She also offered her own belief about what may have happened. She said the only thing she could assume was that someone took the children, although she does not know why anyone would have done so. That belief, however, does not match the position publicly maintained by the RCMP. Police have said they do not consider the disappearance to have been an abduction, and no suspects have been named. That difference between Brooks Murray's belief and the police position is one of the central unanswered elements in the case. For Brooks Murray, the lack of an explanation is increasingly difficult to accept. She says she continues to receive essentially the same updates from investigators. She keeps asking whether there are new avenues that could be explored, but says she is repeatedly told that police are working on the case. She says she does not feel that is enough. That frustration is understandable in the context of a disappearance that has remained unresolved for such a long period. Every passing month means more time without answers. For a parent, the absence of information can be almost as painful as the original disappearance because there is no clear ending, no confirmed explanation, and no certainty about what happened. The RCMP has declined to provide an interview about the case. Police have said the investigation into the disappearance of Lillian and Jack Sullivan remains a priority for the Nova Scotia RCMP. Investigators have also explained that many of the steps being taken and the progress being made cannot be shared publicly. That is a familiar challenge in major missing person investigations. Police may have information they cannot release because doing so could affect witnesses, investigative strategies, or other aspects of the case. But for families, limited information can be extremely difficult to live with. Brooks Murray says she has continued cooperating with investigators behind the scenes. Based on her interactions with the RCMP, she believes she and her family are not considered suspects. She says she has done what investigators have asked of her and has remained available while the investigation continues. At the same time, she wants more than repeated assurances that investigators are working on the case. She wants answers. She wants new avenues explored. Most importantly, she wants Jack and Lily found. That desire has shaped the way she has lived since their disappearance. While much of the public attention surrounding the case has focused on police searches and unanswered questions, Brooks Murray says she has maintained a private connection to her children through the things she continues to buy for them. She still purchases gifts for birthdays and holidays. Some of those gifts remain unopened, waiting for the day she hopes Jack and Lily will come home. That detail offers one of the clearest indications of how Brooks Murray views the situation. She is not treating the disappearance as a closed chapter in her life. She continues to act as though her children could return at any time. A birthday arrives, and she buys something for them. A holiday comes, and she adds another gift. She keeps the new items alongside the things she already had for them. It is a way of preserving hope. For Brooks Murray, the absence of her children does not mean she has stopped being their mother. She continues to think about them, remember them, and prepare for their possible return. She says she believes Jack and Lilly are still alive. That belief is important because it gives her a reason to continue waiting even when the investigation has produced no public resolution. But waiting is not the same as accepting the uncertainty. Brooks-Murray says she wants answers from investigators and does not believe simply receiving the same general update is enough. Her frustration comes from the gap between what she needs and what investigators are able or willing to tell her. On one side is a mother who wants to know where her children are and what happened to them. On the other is an investigation that police say must remain partly confidential. That tension can be difficult for families in missing person cases. They want information because information can bring hope, direction, and closure. Investigators, meanwhile, may have to protect details because releasing them could compromise the work being done behind the scenes. In this case, the RCMP has maintained that the investigation remains a priority. Police have not publicly named a suspect, and they have rejected the idea that the disappearance was an abduction. That means many of the most important questions remain open. Why did Jack and Lilly disappear? Where did they go? What happened after Brooks-Murray last saw and heard them? And why have they still not been found? Those questions continue to hang over the case. Brooks-Murray's own account provides a timeline for the morning but does not provide an explanation for the disappearance. She remembers seeing Lilly and hearing Jack. She then realized something was wrong and called 911 at 10:01 a.m. The police response followed. Search crews went through the surrounding woods and property. The following day, Brooks-Murray left the area. Since then, the search for answers has continued. The disappearance has also left Brooks-Murray separated from the place where her children were last known to be. She says she has never returned to the area since leaving after the police response. That decision may have been connected to the investigators' advice and to the enormous emotional weight attached to the location. Whatever the reason, the result is that a place once connected to her family has become somewhere she no longer lives or visits. The relationship with Daniel Martel also ended during this period, although Brooks-Murray has declined to discuss the details. Without more information, it would be wrong to draw conclusions about that relationship or the circumstances inside the home. What can be stated clearly is that Brooks-Murray denies responsibility for her children's disappearance and says she has cooperated with police. She also says she was advised by the RCMP to remain quiet. That decision shaped her public absence from the story. While investigators continued their work and public interest continued, Brooks-Murray remained largely out of the spotlight. Now, by speaking about her experience, she is offering the public a clearer picture of what she says she has been doing during that silence. She has been waiting. She has been asking questions. She has been communicating with investigators. And she has been keeping gifts for her children. Her message is not that she has accepted that Jack and Lilly are gone forever. Quite the opposite. She continues to believe they are alive. That belief is what keeps the possibility of a reunion alive for her. It is also why the lack of progress is so difficult. If she believed the case had reached an end, there might at least be some form of finality. Instead, she is living with uncertainty. There is no confirmed location for Jack and Lilly. There is no public explanation for what happened. There are no named suspects. And there has been no resolution. For the family, every unanswered question remains connected to two children who should still be part of their daily lives. Jack was only 4 when he disappeared. Lilly was 6. Their childhood has continued without them being present, and time has continued to pass. For Brooks-Murray, that passage of time does not erase her memories. She still remembers seeing Lilly that morning. She still remembers hearing Jack. Those ordinary moments have become deeply significant because they are among the final memories she has of her children before they disappeared. It is often the ordinary details that become the most powerful memories for families facing a disappearance. A child's voice, a familiar face, a moment in a bedroom, things that might once have seemed completely routine can become memories a parent holds onto for years. Brooks-Murray appears to be holding onto those memories while refusing to give up hope. At the same time, She is asking investigators to keep looking. Her request is straightforward: find answers. She says she wants investigators to consider new avenues rather than simply telling her that work is continuing. She understands that police cannot reveal everything, but she says the updates she receives have not given her enough confidence that all possible avenues are being pursued. That does not necessarily mean the investigation has stopped. The RCMP has specifically said the case remains a priority. Police have also indicated that some investigative steps and progress cannot be discussed publicly. That distinction matters. The absence of public information does not necessarily mean an investigation is inactive. At the same time, the lack of a public breakthrough means families and communities are left waiting without knowing what is happening behind the scenes. For Brooksmurray, that waiting has become part of everyday life. She continues to buy gifts. She continues to think about birthdays and holidays. She continues to imagine the moment her children might return. And she continues to say she would give anything to hold them again. Those words reveal the emotional core of the case. Behind the police statements, searches, timelines, and unanswered questions are two children and a mother who says she wants them home. The public may debate what happened, and investigators may continue examining evidence that cannot be disclosed, but the central fact remains unchanged: Jack and Lilly disappeared, and they have not been found. Brooksmurray's public comments also show how strongly she rejects the idea that she should be judged simply because she remained silent. She says her silence was based on the advice she received from police and her desire not to jeopardize the investigation. She says she does not owe people an explanation for that choice. Her position is that her responsibility is to her children. That perspective is likely to remain a major part of the public discussion surrounding the case. When a disappearance attracts attention, family members can face intense scrutiny over their actions, words, and decisions. Brooksmurray is making it clear that she will not allow that scrutiny to become more important than the search for Jack and Lilly. She wants the focus to remain on finding them. She wants investigators to keep working. And she wants answers. Her statement that she believes her children are alive is also a reminder of the unique uncertainty that surrounds missing person cases. Without confirmation of what happened, families can remain suspended between hope and fear. Every day without an answer can feel like another unanswered question. Every holiday can become another reminder of who is missing. Every birthday can carry both pain and hope. For Brooksmurray, those birthdays are marked by gifts that remain unopened. She buys them because she wants to be ready. Ready for the possibility that Jack and Lilly could come home. Ready for the possibility that the children she remembers as 4 and 6 could one day walk back into her life. That hope may be difficult for others to understand, but for a parent, giving up can feel impossible when there has been no definitive answer. The RCMP's position remains equally important. Police say the investigation continues to be a priority. They have not identified suspects publicly, and they maintain that the disappearance was not an abduction. Those statements mean that the circumstances surrounding the children's disappearance remain unresolved in the public record. Brooksmurray's belief that someone took the children is her personal conclusion based on what she knows. It is not a confirmed finding by investigators. That distinction must remain clear as the case continues. There are facts that can be established. Jack and Lilly disappeared on May 2, 2025. Brooksmurray says she saw Lilly and heard Jack that morning. She called 911 at 10:01 a.m. Police and search crews responded. She left the area the following day. She says she has cooperated with investigators. She denies involvement. The RCMP says the case remains a priority, says it was not an abduction, and has not named suspects. Beyond those facts are questions that remain unanswered. And those unanswered questions are why this case continues to matter. For Brooksmurray, the search is not simply a news story or an investigation happening somewhere in the background. It is her life. She says she remains a mother waiting for her children. She continues to keep their place in her life open. She continues to buy things for them. She continues to hope. And she continues to ask investigators for answers. The case also illustrates how difficult long-term missing person investigations can become. In the early days, Searches are highly visible. Police and volunteers move through areas, information is gathered and the public watches closely. But when weeks become months and months become years, the public attention can fade while the family's uncertainty remains. For the people closest to the missing children, there is no easy way to move forward because the central question has not been answered. Brooksmurray's decision to continue buying gifts shows how she refuses to let the passage of time convince her that her children should simply become memories. She is waiting for them. And she wants others to remember them too. Jack and Lilly were not just names in an investigation. They were children with birthdays, holidays, routines, and a family that expected them to grow up. Their disappearance changed that future. The investigation is an attempt to discover what happened and, ultimately, to locate them. Brooksmurray says she will continue to wait while that work goes on. There is still no public resolution to the case. There is still no confirmed account explaining where Jack and Lilly went. There are still no publicly named suspects. And there is still a mother asking for more answers. Her message is simple but powerful. She wants her children back. That is what remains at the heart of this story. More than a year after Jack and Lilly Sullivan disappeared, their mother says she has not stopped hoping. She has not stopped remembering them. She has not stopped asking questions. And she has not stopped preparing for the possibility that they could come home. The RCMP says the investigation remains a priority, even though many details cannot be released publicly. For now, that means the case remains open in a landscape of unanswered questions and limited information. Brooksmurray's story adds another layer to that uncertainty. She says she followed police advice, stayed quiet, cooperated behind the scenes and remained away from the community where her children disappeared. She denies any involvement in their disappearance and says she believes someone took them, while acknowledging that she does not know why. Police have a different public position, maintaining that the disappearance was not an abduction and that no suspects have been named. Those conflicting perspectives underline just how much remains unknown. But amid all the uncertainty, one thing is unmistakable. 2 children are still missing. Their mother is still waiting. Birthday cards remain unopened. Gifts remain set aside. And hope remains alive. For Brooksmurray, the story will not end until she knows what happened to Jack and Lilly. Until then, she says she will continue to believe they are alive and continue hoping for the moment when she can hold them again. The passage of time has not erased that hope. If anything, it has made the need for answers more urgent. And as the investigation continues, the questions remain. Where are Jack and Lilly Sullivan? What happened to them after that morning in May 2025? And will the answers that their mother has been waiting for finally emerge? Until those questions are answered, this remains a story without an ending. And for a mother waiting for her children to come home, that uncertainty is the hardest part of all.